Before I begin, a few disclaimers. I am not responsible for any damage caused to your amp by the replication of the following actions done in this mod. By completing this mod, you are voiding your warranty. Always take your amp to a certified Mesa professional to get any work done on your amp. That being said, there are some of us out there who are third-party purchasers and no longer have a warranty, as well as those of us that prefer to take matters into our own hands and tinker with our toys. I am one of those people. One of the best ways to learn is to try something new. Until a few months ago, I never thought I would be doing something like this. But after some research and a project or two, I decided to give it a shot and have learned a lot along the way. This project is not for everyone. Don't try this at home, kids. Also, the only reason I was able to discover this mod was due to a post by Warped Pig over on warpedmusician.wordpress.com. A massive props and thanks to him for his post, as without it, this video would not be possible. Links to his post, which include pictures, down in the description. Now on to the video. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take off the tube protection plate. Once that's off, slightly bend the tube clamps down so that you can take the tubes out. You don't need to flatten them entirely, just bend them down enough for the tubes to make clearance. Now gently rock the tubes back and forth until they come out and set them in a safe place, preferably in the same order you found them in the amp. Now turn the amp on its face and take out these 4 screws. Be careful when taking out the last 2 screws, as the amp is still being held up about a ½ inch or so from the table. Now turn the amp right side up again and carefully pull it out of the housing. I find it easiest to grab it from the transformers and lift it up, then pull it out. Then once you can reach it, grab the front of the amp through the back. Just be careful, as there is some aluminum shielding tape on the bottom of the housing, so you don't want to scratch that up. Now turn the amp completely upside down and rest it on the transformers with the rear of the amp facing you. I apologize for the shaky footage here. I had my GoPro on a tripod and was trying to get a decent overview of the amp and then slowly lower the legs to hone in on the area we're going to be working on. These are the 3 wires we're going to be cutting. They're the leads from the return jack of the effects loop. Cut each one and move them out of the way. Bunch them up and use some electrical tape, and tape them up and place them somewhere out of the way where they can safely live out their days. I just tucked them under these red and blue wires. Now get your soldering iron ready. You'll want 22 gauge wire for this. We'll be soldering the wires to pins 2 and 3. They're the far left and the middle pins. Pin 1 will stay bare and be unused. If you're good with a soldering iron, you can fully strip a very short wire and just solder a little jumper between the pins. However, I'm still a bit new with soldering iron myself, so I just made a little 2-inch wire and bent it in half and soldered each lead to each pin. Either way will work. I will also note that I was a bit shaky the morning I did this. Too much coffee. Anyways, be sure to tin the wire with a bit of solder before soldering to the board, and use flux as needed. This will help the solder stick to the wire and the wire stick to the board without too much hassle. Make sure the wire has a solid connection and tug it a bit to be sure it's not going anywhere. Okay, all done. Now it's as simple as repeating the steps backwards and putting it all back together. Remember when putting the amp back into the housing to not drag it, as this may tear some of the shielding foil. Try and pick it up and move it forward in short steps, using the transformers as makeshift handles. Once you've got it all back together, you're clear to plug it up and jam your heart out. Note that this mod requires that you have a patch cable connecting the send and return jacks at all times if you're not using any pedals in the loop. When setting the effects loop knob on the back of the amp to the FTSW, standing for foot switch selection, the FX button on the foot switch will act as a kill switch when disabled, when the light is off. The channel assignment will work, but will mute all other channels than the one selected. Otherwise, the on or bypass options should be used. Personally, I just set mine to the on position as I play metal, and the only pedal in my effects loop is a Fortin Zool gate pedal. Also note that the mix knob for the effects loop will no longer be of use, as we effectively just sent 100% of the wet signal to the power section, which was the whole point of this mod. The level knob does still work and is essentially a tertiary volume knob. I just keep mine in the normal position at 12 o'clock. The results of this mod for me were nothing short of fantastic. My amp has never been so quiet. Just completely dead silent with the gate enabled, where before, even with the mix knob at its maximum of 95%, there was still a fairly audible hum, not to mention the phasing issues. Well, I hope you found this video to be helpful. I had been searching for a way to do this for years, trying to find a video of someone that had done it, and I could only find videos for different model amps, and the ones of the dual rectifier solo head that I did find just showed before and after sound clips, not the actual process of the mod itself. I decided to search again a few weeks ago and found the post on Warped Musician, and am so glad I went through with it and did the mod myself. Again, a huge shout out to Warped Pig for posting this. Well, that's all folks. Thanks for watching and happy modding.